I wanted to do this in 1 minute, but it's gonna take 3 minutes, y'all. I have to take my time with this story. So in 2012, I was raped by someone that I thought was a close friend. I was too scared to report it initially, and then I was out one day with my friends, and he came up behind me and put his arms around my waist. And I freaked out, I had a panic attack, and at that point I was like, I have to report it. We went through the whole thing. The prosecutors told me that they didn't want to put me on stand, so they just wanted to give him a plea deal. He took a plea deal. He had 10 years probation, and he also had to do like some rehab that he didn't take seriously at first, and they told him he was going to go to prison if he didn't take it seriously. So then he started taking it seriously. 4 years later, he shows up at my apartment building, and I file for a restraining order. He fights me on it, but I ended up getting granted the restraining order. In 2020, he wanted to get off probation early so he could become a lawyer and move to Atlanta. And so they asked me if I wanted to make a statement to the judge. And so I said, yes, I'd like to read a letter to the judge. And here's the letter I read. July 29th, 2020. First and foremost, thank you for giving me the time and space to read this letter to you. Your Honor, I am not a vengeful person. In fact, I enjoy uplifting others and watching them become their best selves. I just want to make that clear. I recently ran into an old friend, and she told me she's a therapist that works directly with sex offenders. I asked her if she believed they could actually change, and she said yes, as long as they're really ready to do the inner work, like all of us. That sounds so simple, but that's all I needed to hear to be convinced. Still, with that feeling, I am not convinced Q-Yumba has changed. In 2017, when he showed up at my apartments, I filed a restraining order because he did rape me. He fought me on it. When I was finally granted the order, the judge asked him to leave first and had me wait 10 minutes. Well, I waited about 30, and there he was at the bottom of the elevator grinning. Many other women have since reached out and stated he stalked them after work or groped them. So, Your Honor, I'm not here for revenge. I'm here to protect other women and girls from him. Q-Yumba wants to be a lawyer, so he should start becoming familiar with what consequences look like. There are consequences for being a rape survivor. Sleepless nights, 150 plus hours of therapy, nightmares, PTSD, fear of people, anger. I had to dig myself out of dark holes I didn't even know existed inside of me. I am just finding myself again. There are also consequences for being a rapist. Restitution, counseling, treatment, psych evaluations. You got to register as a sex offender, and jail. But if you're lucky, and most are, you get probation. I don't believe we should ever make deals with rapists, but we did, and it was more than generous. And he agreed to it. He stayed out of trouble, and probation looks good on him. I can't say that I would feel this way if I knew he was being accountable and really trying to be a decent person. After all, I did consider him one of my best friends 10 years ago. My daughter is almost 10 years old now. I remember the night he raped me, she stayed quietly asleep in her room, right next door. At one point, I told myself, if he's crazy enough to rape you, he's crazy enough to kill you and her. Lay still, and I did.